The sky was this massive, terrifying mystery. Imagine just hanging out in your village on a gorgeous sunny morning, and suddenly, out of nowhere, a massive storm rolls in and just wrecks absolutely everything. Surviving meant you always had to be looking up, trying to read these wild, invisible signs of nature. You're watching birds fly weirdly low, staring at strange clouds, and basically just crossing your fingers you weren't about to get hit by a deadly blizzard that completely betrayed that nice morning. The stakes were just insanely high. If you were an ancient sailor, a surprise wind wasn't just a bad day. It would literally sink your entire wooden ship. You're out there mapping stars because your life actually depends on it. And farmers? Totally terrified. If they plant seeds too early and they freeze, the whole town goes hungry. So people mostly just guessed. They wrote down years of local vibes in these little almanac books. But honestly, the sky changes way too fast for basic rules to keep up. Eventually, these incredibly smart thinkers realized they needed actual physical measurements. I mean, you can't predict what you can't measure, right? They needed tools to track the invisible air itself. Galileo creates this clever little water tube to check heat. But then Torricelli comes along and just blows everyone's minds. He proves that invisible air actually has real weight, and he builds this wild tool to measure it, the barometer. Think of the barometer like a magic warning glass. When the air pressure inside it started falling, it meant a storm was secretly sneaking up on you. Suddenly, sailors had this unbelievable advantage. They could actually see the storm coming and tie things down before a single drop of rain even hit the deck. But here is the beautifully tragic part. Weather covers the entire planet, so someone having a barometer in a port town doesn't help anyone 100 miles away. And trying to share that data was honestly kind of hilarious. You'd slap a letter on a horse, and it would take weeks. The storm would literally ruin the town, and then the horse trots in with the warning. But then, the electrical telegraph arrives. Instant communication wires. It changed the entire game. Sadly, it took a disaster to really force a shift. A terrible storm destroyed a massive war fleet, sinking ships with zero warning. Leaders realized the telegraph could have completely saved them. So they get scientists to start plotting all these telegraph numbers on huge sheets of paper, creating the earliest weather maps. And by doing that, they uncovered this beautifully simple secret. Storms almost always travel west to east. Just knowing that simple little fact changed absolutely everything. If it's raining sideways in the town west of you today, it is coming for you tomorrow. So they started buzzing storm warnings down the telegraph lines. Port towns would ring these insanely loud bells to stop boats from going out. Just like that, the real daily forecast was born, and it saved so many lives. But oh man, there was still a massive blind spot. The sky is ridiculously tall, you know? Ground numbers were only giving them half the story. All the really wild stuff was happening way up in the high clouds. So they got creative. They brilliantly started tying tools to these giant flying kites. And later, they strapped tiny little radios to strong balloons called radiosondes, launching them way up into the atmosphere to pull the sky's secrets back down to Earth. Then this guy Richardson shows up. He had this beautifully wild dream that you could use pure math to predict the exact weather. He wanted to sit down and solve these massive, complex air equations. And honestly, his math was spot on. But there was a glaring problem. Human brains are just way, way too slow for all that. It is hilariously tragic, honestly. It would take Richardson months of doing intense math just to predict what the weather would do for tomorrow alone. By the time he solved it, the day was long gone. The weather simply changed faster than humans could count. They desperately needed a giant counting machine to keep up with all that chaos. World War II kicks off, and the pressure is really on. Airplanes desperately needed perfect wind forecasts to fly safely. In the mad rush to figure this out, scientists invent radar, mostly to spot enemy metal planes in the sky. But they accidentally realize something totally wild. Radar is absolutely incredible at spotting falling rain, too. It was mind-blowing. Radar let humans peer right inside dark, stormy clouds. They didn't have to wait around for a telegraph message from a neighboring town anymore. They could just sit there and watch the danger creeping across the land, live, in real time. The waiting game was completely over. After the war, things settle down and completely scale up. Scientists build these giant, room-sized electronic computers. These machines could do math at blistering speeds. They dusted off Richardson's old air equations and let the computers just chew on them. And it worked. The machine actually predicted the weather faster than reality happened. These roaring machines changed the whole landscape. They were turning raw air pressure numbers into future maps, instantly. It took forecasting from this wild art of guessing into cold, hard science. Pretty soon, the whole world is completely obsessed using these computer models just to figure out what jacket to wear.
But wait a second, what happens when a monstrous, deadly hurricane is quietly growing out over the massive, totally empty ocean? No telegraphs, no radars, no weather stations out there, just endless water. That was the terrifying blind spot still lurking in the dark, just waiting to hit a coastline.
So humanity pulls a totally bold move. We decide to look down at the Earth from outer space. We launched HIROS, a dedicated weather satellite, sending it way up high to take these stunningly clear pictures of the Earth and the clouds. And the moment it turned its space camera on, absolute magic. It beamed back a picture of this massive, secret, swirling white hurricane just chilling in the ocean. Nobody on the ground had any clue it was there. That camera in the sky gave us a critically important early warning.
Satellites were essentially like finding the last missing pieces of a giant puzzle. Suddenly, humans could see the whole global picture at once. No dangerous storm could ever hide in the empty ocean again, saving countless coastal towns from getting completely wiped out. Cut to today, we have these gorgeous, massive supercomputers just devouring billions of numbers daily. They pull in endless data from space, from those weather balloons, from everywhere. They run the absolute most complex math you can imagine, just so we can peek at what tomorrow looks like. Basically, these supercomputers are building a digital twin of our planet. It is like they create a perfect virtual rehearsal space of the Earth inside the machine, spinning it forward in time to predict all that wild atmospheric chaos before it actually hits us in the real world.
But hold up, it is not pure perfection. Lorenz comes along and discovers something shockingly profound. It is called the butterfly effect. He found out that if you have even a tiny, microscopic error in your numbers, say a rogue gust of wind you didn't measure, it ruins the whole math later on. It means that achieving absolute perfect prediction is just impossible.
But do not stress. Even though nature is way too wild and complex to perfectly solve, what we do have is absolutely incredible. A modern forecast today is wildly good. It is completely good enough to evacuate an entire city. It is good enough to save families from total disaster, and that is a massive, beautiful win.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? It is so wild that we went from hiding in dark caves, absolutely terrified of surprise lightning strikes, to just chilling on the couch, safely tracking massive storms on our glowing phones. We really pushed the darkness away, just a little bit. And there is something weirdly beautiful about it all. Weather forecasting is this huge, global collaboration. Every country shares their sky data for free because the weather, it completely ignores our invisible little country lines on a map. Even enemies in war will share their weather numbers with each other because they know the storm hits both of them. Survival demands we act as a unified planet. But we are not totally safe yet. We still face some terrifying dangers. Climate change is making these storms so much more wildly violent, and it is leaving our old math models struggling to keep up. We are desperately trying to learn the sky all over again. So the endless race never actually stops. Right now, we're building better, faster computers. Artificial intelligence is stepping up to learn the crazy new weather patterns. Because at the end of the day, grabbing just a tiny, early warning is why we measure the invisible air. That tiny window of time can literally save a whole school. It is an incredible human quest, honestly. It was never just about staying dry. It is our enduring fight against chaos, taking the terrifying, mysterious sky and translating it into beautiful, understandable math. I always just find myself staring up in total wonder at how far we've actually come. If you had fun wandering through the clouds with me today, toss a like on this, share it with someone who loves a good story, and subscribe so we can keep untangling the wild mysteries of our world together. Catch you later.